In this video, we are going to learn how to read the Java API documentation as well as write codes to create objects using constructors. So first of all, let's understand the motivation of using objects. So far what we have learned up till now is that we have learned about the 8 primitive data type: byte, short, int, long, float, double, char, boolean. So all these 8 primitive data types can only store one particular value. For example, if I declare an integer container called x, I can basically just store one particular whole number value into the container. I can just say integer x equals to 1. Now if I say that I want to calculate the surface area of a pyramid, then I will have to say that now for my first pyramid, what is the width? The width is 3.5, let's say, for example. And then I will have to create two other variables to say that what is the length and what is the height. Now, if I were to basically do the calculation of a pyramid, then I would have to do my own calculation and to figure things out. Now, so the first thing is primitive data type. There's two issues. These are all known as primitive data types. First of all, primitive data types can only store one value. And the second thing is, I won't be able to send messages to all these primitive data types. I won't be able to ask, hey, pyramid width, is the number stored in the container a huge number or a small container, small number? I wouldn't be able to ask, is it a positive number or a negative number? I wouldn't be able to send messages to it. Primitive data type doesn't allow messages to be sent. So, other than the 8 primitive data types, we basically have this thing called objects. And the good thing about objects is that we are able to collectively say that now, when I create a book object, I will basically have the title, the price, and the category. For example, if I wanted to remember 3 things for every book that I have, I want to remember 3 things about the book. If that's the case, then you can basically make use of objects. Now, in this video, we are not going to learn how to write the templates to create objects, but then we are going to learn how to, when given a particular template by someone, how are we able to make use of it? So for example, if I'm given a particular template by a friend, and I say that now he has given me the documentation, or he has given me the menu of how to make use of the class itself, then you basically have to go into the API directory and click on the index.html. Click on the index.html. So when you click on the index.html, on the left hand side is basically the list of classes that I have. On the right hand side, this is the template that was given to me. When you scroll down a little, you'll basically see this thing called constructor summary. This constructor summary will basically teach us how to create book objects. So let's go back to our code. Now, if you are given the book template by someone else, you can basically declare a book container. As in, if I can declare integer x, meaning that x is a variable or x is a container that contains a whole number, I could also declare a book b, meaning that b is a container that contains a book object. Not really. B will basically contains the address or reference of an object. Just like in real life, you and I are objects, right? We are humans, we are human objects. We live somewhere. We either live in a landed property, we live in a condo, or we live in a HDB flat. So we will definitely live somewhere, like for example, Ang Mo Kio or Choa Chu Kang. Similarly, when you create an object in Java, this object must live somewhere and the address must be stored somewhere. So B is nothing but the container to contain the address of an object. Now, once you have a variable called B, you can basically instantiate or create a book object, because right now what you have is basically just a container. You can basically say that now B equals to new book, and I basically make use of this particular constructor over here, because it basically says that when you create a book, you need not pass me anything. That's why it's open parenthesis, close parenthesis. Whatever, if a book contains store 3 values, the title, the price, and the category, I will give you some default values. Now let's take a look at what actually happens in the memory. Now, the moment when you say book B, what you are saying is that I'm creating a container called book. It's just the same as when you say integer x. X is nothing but a container that contains one whole number, except that over here, this stores the reference or address of a book object. For a primitive data type, x will basically immediately stores the value. So if I say x equals to 2, x will basically contains the value 2. So the next thing is when I say book B equals to new book, what it basically means is B when you take a look at new book over here, it basically means that I create a book object in the memory. So I have a book object, and the book object, every time I create an object, I will have 3 attributes: the title, the price, and the category. This is actually defined by whoever that created this template itself. So the title is no title, the price is 0, and the category is U, unknown. How will I know that these are the default values? Then you basically have to refer to the documentation over here. Create a default book with title, no title, price as 0, and category as U. Now, after which, earlier on we mentioned that a book has to live somewhere. So if this book object lives in Ang Mo Kio, if the address is Ang Mo Kio, I will basically take the address Ang Mo Kio and I will put into the container called B. So when we are drawing a memory state diagram, what we will do is we will basically just draw an arrow that points to the object itself to say that B basically contains the reference or the address of the book object. Now, if you come back and take a look at the constructor of table of the documentation itself, you realize that there's actually 2 ways for us to create book objects. The first way basically says that I do not need to pass you anything. The second way says that when I create a book object, I will basically need to specify the title, the price, and the category. Because when you take a look at the parentheses over here, this is basically 3 containers, right? This container stores a string value, this container stores a double value, this container stores a char value. So you are saying that when you create a book object, you must pass me 3 values. So what I'm going to do is, at line 8, I'm going to do this. Book B equals to new book. The title is Java. is so fun. What is the price? Oh, must be very expensive, $99.9. The category is adventure. Don't you think learning Java is an adventure? Okay, now save the file itself. So once you have saved the file, we say that let's go over here and let's compare it. Java C object manipulation demo. Errors. The first error basically says cannot find symbol book B. The moment when you are making use of a template or a class to create objects, right, you have to make sure that the template that was given to you, the book.class, is actually in the same directory as your Java class object manipulation demo. So let's go over here. In this directory, we do not have the book.class. I actually forgot about it and I left it in the classes folder. So let me just copy it out. You always have to make sure that book.class is in the same directory as the Java file that you are trying to make use of the template itself. So in object manipulation demo, I'm trying to make use of the book template, so I have to make sure that book.class is in the same directory. Now, after which, I'm going to just compare it. Oh, then of course I have another error that says variable B is already defined in the method main. That's because I already says the first book that I create, I stores the address in the container called B. When I create the second book, I have to use a different container name. So this time around, let me call it B2. Save it. Oh, wrong command. Java C object manipulation demo. Okay, now I managed to compare it successfully. If you run it, you wouldn't be able to see anything because in this main method itself, we have yet to do system.out.println at all. Okay, so you won't see any output at all. Once you compile successfully, it means that you have made use of the constructor successfully. Now, over here, let me just do a short little demo for you. If you take a look at this constructor, it basically says that this must contain the string, a double, and the char. You must follow the exact order of the documentation. You can't say that I freely change the order of the values that I want to pass in. So if you change the order and you try to compare it, Java will actually give you a compilation error to say incompatible types. Incompatible types. Double cannot be converted to a string because if you take a look at this, 99.9 is a double, whereas the container over here is a string container. So do make sure that when you are creating objects and you are saying that I want a specific book that contains Java is so fun, $99.9, and the category is A, make sure you pass it in the exact same order. String, double, char. It's a string value followed by a double value followed by a char value. It's a string value followed by a double value followed by a char value. That's all for this video. See you again the next time.